Hello. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, it's a 15-minute segment. I talk about a topic for the 15 minutes, and that's pretty much it. Let me get my timer going here. And obviously, if you've clicked on the thumbnail, you know that I'm going to do 15 minutes on the Super Bowl halftime show. And the clock is rolling. All right, so I don't want to jump into anything too fast, but basically the way I have it set up here is like I'm on my computer, which is a desktop, and then to my right hand side there's a TV, which is a flat screen. It's not too big. I guess it's about like like a 26 inch or something like that, because you measure from corner to corner. Yeah, it's probably like a 30-inch flat screen. So more and more I'm entertained by everything on the internet, so the TV has become somewhat irrelevant, but I do turn it on from time to time. And then, like, if I find myself going on the computer too much, I'll watch the TV. But I did have the Super Bowl on. Wasn't at work, so I had the whole day to watch it. So I guess we can start before we get into Bad Bunny. We'll start with I turn on the Super Bowl broadcast. I want to say I turned it on at like 2 o'clock or something, and I see Green Day has started. So some thoughts about Green Day. Uh, First thought is they're so old. The drummer definitely looking old. You can play guitar on stage for quite a while, but playing drums is an instrument where it's like once you reach a certain age, you can just see like the slow limbs. Like it's like a fat old man behind the drum set has no power. But yeah, Green Day starts playing. They are polished. It did seem like they were playing live guitars, from what I could tell, which was cool. And I was watching Nick DiPaolo talk about Green Day on his show last night, and he killed it with what he said. So I have two thoughts on it. In terms of like the music, it's like, yeah, the music is okay. I mean, their songwriting is pretty dull after, in general, I guess it's pretty dull, except for like some of the earlier, like the way early stuff. And they are kind of like the quintessential sellouts, right? Because didn't they play alongside like Operation Ivy at Gilman Street, but they were like designed to be sellouts from day one? But they've taken selling out to a whole new level when they made the American Idiot album just to appease the. I don't know. I just think it's just like such a overt political statement that it's cheesy, much in the same way like the Kid Rock halftime show is cheesy. Like being fully pro America is just as cheesy as being anti America, I guess. It's like two sides of the spectrum. So yeah, it's just cheesy. And they're old. Plus, my other thought is that it's like, god damn it, like can we think of one other rock band? It's been 35 years and they're still just putting Green Day out there. It's like there are no other rock bands even left on the charts. It's like, and that just goes back to a whole nother conversation about how once the internet really took over with directing, culture, it's like all the legacy acts that gained popularity through the old system of selling CDs and like, being on television, where it was more like closed circuit. It's like we're going to run out of them at some point, and then it's like, all right, so Green Day is done at one point, right? They die, because the guy turns whatever, like 70. Then what do you do? Because there's no legacy acts remaining. So who goes up there? So, but I guess the networks are notoriously cheap, and they'll just throw anybody up there. Like that's what the they say on the New Year's Rockin' Eve, they'll just throw anybody up there. Just give me 1 second here. All right, now on to Bad Bunny. You know, I actually have a whiteboard in my room here. And at one point in time, I wanted to make this channel my full name uncensored. Like, you can get my raw opinions here. I was trying to distance myself, or move away from, not distance, but move away from making strictly music content. So, here's some of my unfiltered thoughts on Bad Bunny. First off, Bad Bunny is quite possibly the worst stage performer name for a guy. It's a name for a chick. Think about it. Bad Bunny? All right. I don't even need to say anymore. It's just like so obvious. So the name up front is lame. And then like you would think like, oh, okay, maybe he's like, you ever see those like decals that you put on a car where it's like Roadrunner and it's like Woody Woodpecker, but he's like badass? It's like Woody Woodpecker with like a chain necklace and he's got tattoos and he's got like jacked biceps. It's like Bad Woodpecker or whatever. Like that would be cooler. And he doesn't even have any graphics like that. I don't know what the whole design of his persona to me is whack. It's just so whack. All right, so then we get to the halftime show. That's just boilerplate stuff here. Like, first off, you suck. Now, I'm just going to go into like what happened. So I'll have the broadcast on. I'm kind of watching the game. Like Sam Darnold, I'm watching a little bit. He used to be a member of my NFL team, the Jets. He got mono, much like I had mono. You could read all about it in my book, Soccer American Style Journey to the NCAA. Now, when I got mono, it ended my career. Sam Darnold got mono, and they kept giving him another chance, but he's on contract with the NFL, and he won the Super Bowl, so that's a whole nother podcast, or 15 minutes. Anyway, the Super Bowl, the halftime show comes on. Bad Bunny's on the screen. To me, it started kind of abruptly. There was no build-up, and this goes to show, and this is kind of like one of the main points of this 15 minutes, to me, is that I feel like this halftime show, and this has happened in the past, but this one particularly to me was like symbolic of like the Super Bowl is really starting to become culturally irrelevant, which I think is like at one point in time you could never conceive the fact that maybe it was completely culturally irrelevant. However, now it seems more than ever like no one was talking about this. No one cares. I went on NewYorkPost.com after it to see if there was any stories. There was no stories. Usually they do like a hit piece, like worst halftime show ever. No one I know hit me up to talk about it. And yeah, so it just pops up on the screen. I start watching it, almost like I'm being MK Ultra programmed. And I'm watching it and I'm like, all right. Now, the part that I was paying the most close attention to is the beginning where he's walking through the cornfields. And then he walks through like, I guess what you could say are like cultural keystones. And then I'm watching him like, is he Cuban? Because it's like old men playing dominoes, like a guy hawking jewelry. It's kind of like, if you really break it down, in my opinion, like kind of insulting to, I guess he's Puerto Rican. I don't even know where he's from or what he's representing. I thought he was Cuban because it's all like stereotypical kind of like tropes of, you know, the cultural identity of Cuban people to me. Like they had like a guy rolling cigars. I don't know, you know what. And then he went through a bunch of those. And then he like looks at the diamond, then he throws it to a couple, and I guess that comes into play. But I'm watching the clock here too, so talking a little bit faster. Just want to squeeze this in because not everyone's got 3 hours to listen to some bullshit on the internet. And if you're listening to me, thank you, because you could be listening to 1,000 other commentaries. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I'm watching that and I'm like, all right, this is just like, I wasn't offended by it. My initial reaction was like, oh, we're just doing the whole thing, like not a word of English. Like, how am I supposed to? I can't fucking understand anything he's saying. What are we doing here? So, didn't get a word of it. Him walking through the different like stereotype things. If you did it in America, it'd be like it's like a fat redneck just walking through a dirt road, and then he stumbles upon like I don't even know what would it be. What is it? He starts changing a tire. Then the next little corner of the dirt road, he's like, I don't even know. Whatever the most cliche thing, like he's eating a cheeseburger. Then on the third one, he has long hair and he gets it shaved into a mullet. Then on the fourth one, he I don't know. He looks at a high school diploma, he picks it up, he throws it to the ground, and then he looks at his high school sweetheart, and then she says, I'm pregnant. You know, it's like shit like that. It's like a big fat redneck doing that shit. That's kind of what I saw. But anyway, I also want to comment the outfit he was wearing. The clothing he was wearing, to me, was ridiculous. He's wearing like a all white, or it's not white, it's like baby. It looked to me like the color you wear like when you're doing like, I don't even know, first communion. He's wearing a first communion outfit, but it's like football stylized, but it's like the outfit was whack. Whoever's doing his styling, they made him look like he's like emasculated. He's got a name for a chick. They dressed him up like, you know, a little bit light in the loafers there. Then he's on the top of a thing and he starts like doing like groin thrusts on the thing, but he had a pants tent where his pants were popping out. Oh man. So I'm like, oh, is he wearing like a cod piece? And he's like humping the air and whatever. So I'm watching that and I'm like, oh shit. Oh, another thing too, point I can make. I'm really squeezing a lot of words in here. Normally I talk at a slower pace. Another thing too is like he's on top of the truck and he's thrusting his crotch out. And then like below you have all the dancers. And this is one thing. Forget about the whole politics of it and the culturalism and the, you know, signaling or whatever, you know. But the thing I never get with the Super Bowl halftime show, and this was not just this year's, but all through the past, I never understand why you would have like any sort of like sexual display, because it really has nothing to do with sports. I'm a former athlete, whatever, current athlete. The last thing I'm thinking about while I'm playing a sport is sex. It's really like the last thing on my mind. It has nothing to do with sports. So to like insert sex into a sporting event, to me, is like, I don't understand the motivation behind it other than purely like sex sells and we want eyeballs on the screen, which is like, I guess it makes sense, but it just seems to me like kind of like, can't you think of something else that's going to give you an equal boost in viewership that's makes more sense? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe I'm just too conservative, because I guess like fully clothed cheerleaders in a way is more classic. So like I guess that's okay, but like I don't know. The provocative dancing it wasn't that bad. Didn't bother me, but it's just like doesn't make any sense to me. What, I got a minute left. So I kind of like stopped paying attention at the point where he was groin thrusting with the dancers below, and then I kind of like was in and out looking up at it. And then all of a sudden Lady Gaga pops out, who I only recognize because of her tattoo of the trumpet on her arm. And then like I don't even know, was she singing in Spanish or English? And then there was like a wedding, which I guess was hinted at earlier. I didn't really follow the plot of the halftime show overall, and I wouldn't say it was the worst thing ever, you know. it definitely wasn't great though. Uh, and I couldn't understand a word of it, so I don't know. I don't know what the like. Why would they choose him? I guess he's got huge appeal in terms of viewership, so it's all about the bottom line and the money. So when you look at it through that lens, it kind of makes sense because it's always like, oh, there's my 15 minutes. It's always borderline depressing when you boil this stuff down to just like, oh, it's just like corporate interest, and that's what's kind of like doing the programming. And someone was talking about this recently, how MTV programming just disintegrated into just like a 24-hour block of ridiculousness. So that's just like a perfect case study on they're just doing whatever is going to make money. So yeah, I thought it was ridiculous. The outfit, every aspect of it just wasn't great. Now, I guess to wrap up, so my 15 minutes are up. It's always so constructive criticism is where and I'm going to go a little bit longer because I need to make this point. If you've ever put anything out there, like for instance, I've made paintings in the past, and then like there's something called an art crit, I guess, where they do like criticism. I've been a part of those in one like sculpture lab one time, but the point I'm trying to make is that to me it's lame when someone's like, let's say a painting's in a gallery and I walk up to it and I just go, this sucks, but that's all I say. If the guy who made it is also standing right there and I just look at him and I go, this sucks and you suck, right to him, but that's all I say, that's not cool, because there's nothing it's just a flat out insult. There's nothing behind it. There's no like credible criticism that's coming from an angle where it's going to actually break it down analytically as to why it's not appealing. So I guess I've offered some, and in my world, this is how I would redo it. First of all, you've got to change the name. Bad Bunny makes no sense. But if you insist on using that name, you got to create some imagery where it's like the muscular Woody Woodpecker with the tattoos, the chain necklace, the menacing grin, the, sleeveless cutoff shirt, revving the engine of his Mustang in a bunny version. Get some graphics up like that. The outfit was horrendous, so switch the all white, whatever the hell that was. Get some leather pants, black guinea tee, chains. Get like a leather NFL hat, all right? You walk out on a runway that's like makeshift like asphalt road. The lighting, you get some like club lights or whatever, and forget about the dancers. I don't think you need too many dancers. Maybe you get like 4 dancers total, 2 on each side. You can put sexy clothes on them, but nothing too crazy. The equivalent of a classic 70s Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. So you got them on both sides. And just do your whole reggaeton set like that. And then you got to intermix English in there as well. You got to say something in English, memorized. And I think the message should be pretty much like down the center. Maybe if you can hire writers, if you're part of NFL, to say something that's like, it's going to pique interest and get clicks, but that's not overtly offensive just cause, which would be the equivalent of walking up to the artist and saying, this sucks and you suck, just to spike a reaction out of them. But yeah, I mean, that's how I would redo it. And that's basically my criticism. The appearance of Lady Gaga was also kind of irrelevant, wasn't it? But anyway, that's my 15 minutes. If you enjoyed listening, hit the like button, subscribe, write in the comments what you'd like me to talk about next, and I will catch you next time. I'm going to attempt to cleanly end the stream this time without cutting it off. Let's see how that goes.